morning to all of you. Sisters do know that the kitchen is aware that you may be just a little late for dinner this morning. So, my name is Julie Hill, and I'm a member of the pastoral care team here at Mount St. Francis. We welcome all of you who have gathered here in the Clare House Chapel, those watching on the in-house system, as well as Sister Myra's family and friends who are joining us via live stream. We gather today to honor and remember Sister Myra Weitl. We will begin with our opening hymn, number 424, verses 1, 3, and 5. Number 424, verses 1, 3, and 5. Sister Death once again has visited us with unexpected swiftness, and this time of remembering and sharing stories of Sister Myra is important for our grieving hearts. Let me begin with this quote from St. Francis Xavier. "It is not the actual physical exertion that counts towards a person's progress, nor the nature of the task, but by the spirit of love with which it is undertaken." Sister Myra undertook many tasks throughout her years of active ministry for the Sisters of St. Francis, including 36 years as an educator. And while the lives of many children were better because of Sister Myra's task of teaching them, it was her spirit of love, the way in which her passion for helping others while remaining joyful and spirit-filled, that had a greater impact upon those she served. After her time as an educator in the Midwest, Sister Myra left her comfort zone, reached into her pioneer spirit, and ventured into the rich culture of the Deep South to do her part in eliminating illiteracy as she helped begin the Excel program in Calhoun City, Mississippi. Continuing her example as a servant leader, the following statement was made by an Excel volunteer who assisted alongside Sister Myra. Quote, "Her endless patience, yet firm insistence on students doing their best was hard to measure, but amazing to witness. She waded into uncharted waters and gave so many children her attention, guidance, and love." Another volunteer stated, quote, The greatest thing the children got from the program was a dose of Sister Myra. They sensed early on that she respected and cared about them, and that she expected them to do their best, end quote. Upon her retirement to Mount St. Francis Center, Sister Myra continued to live with a spirit of selfless giving and endless love through her myriad of volunteer tasks for her beloved Franciscan sisters. And although Myra's gracious presence came to an end sooner than expected, the God of love promises faithful presence to those grieving her loss, and to Myra, a promise of eternal dwelling in love beyond our understanding. Thank you, Myra, for demonstrating a life lived with a spirit of compassionate love.
A reading from the Gospel of John. So during supper, Jesus, knowing that God had put all things into his own hands, and that he had come from God and was returning to God, rose from the table, took off his garment, and wrapped a towel around his waist. He then poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and dry them with a towel that was around his waist. After washing their feet, Jesus put his garment back on and returned to the table. He said to them, "Do you understand what I have done for you? You call me teacher and master, and rightly so, for I am. If I then, your teacher and master, have washed your feet, you should wash each other's feet. I have given you an example, that you should do as I have done to you. The truth of the matter is, no subordinate is greater than the superior. No messenger outranks the sender. Once you know all these things, you'll be blessed if you put them into practice." The Gospel of the Lord.
Now is our time to share memories of Sister Myra. Please raise your hand and we will bring a microphone to you. Please state your name and stand if you are comfortable. Sisters, we invite you to share your memories first, and then we will do our best to share as many from family and friends as possible.
I'm Sister Virginia Jennings. When reflecting on Myra's life, I was reminded by her example that holiness and humility walk together. Myra was never puffed up. She was secure in God's love and in her own worth because of that. She did not seek acclaim or recognition. She was happy just to serve.
My name is Janet Taphorn. Myra and I had numerous talks together. And often she would say, I asked God to do this whatever. And then she would say, and do you know, he did it. And her eyes would just light up like, well, of course he would do that. No question asked. I was struck by a sentence that we read in our office this morning where it said, God will give you a new name. And I thought, yes, I was thinking of Myra, and the name that came to my mind would be Saint Myra.
My name is Judy Sinwell. I'm a Dubuque Franciscan, and I lived with Myra in Mississippi and worked with her for 5 years, about 2007 to 2012. I did not know anything about Myra before we met and actually started to plan about what we were going to be doing together at Excel. But I heard words like this. The adjectives were kind, loving, trusted, woman of God, respectful and respected, professional. So I want to just share some things that have come from people from Mississippi now to say that they corroborate that. So this is from Ernestine, who says, my prayers are with everyone who knew Sister Myra. She was a wonderful woman. Margie Allen says, she was so kind and worked so hard for the children. She was a joy to work with. I am praying for her family. Haley Cavendish said, she was the sweetest lady. Nanette Williams said, what a blessing to have known her. She was a wonderful friend and an inspiration to my whole family. Lori Copen said, Sister Myra was such a kind and loving soul. Her friendship was amazing, no matter where she lived. Patsy Zeidman said, she was so wonderful for all of us to know. Debbie and Jerry Vaughn said, she was a blessing to the children she helped. Sweetest lady. Tyla Hyde said, she was such a blessing. I attended a summer Excel program, and I remember her teaching me how to swim at the city pool. Donna Brown said, I'm sad to hear about her. She was very special and had a positive influence on many children in Calhoun. And that's just some of the information that's confirming what those adjectives told me when I first learned about her and just got to know her. She went to Excel when a local resident, Donna Cole, had become familiar with Excel in Calhoun, in Okolona. And so Donna wanted to have Excel be a resource for teachers and parents and students in Calhoun County, in Calhoun City, really serving the whole county. So the one resistance they had when this idea came to Calhoun County was to the main purpose was to have resources after school so that teachers knew children had another example or another way to learn what they were supposed to be successful learning in school. And the one resistance was, okay, the staff is going to be Catholic sisters from the north. That was a little bit of a hesitation in the Bible Belt to have Catholic sisters from the north be responsible for the children. But they were convinced, and Myra helped convince them along with a well-known dentist in town that said, no, the sisters are just coming to do reading and writing and arithmetic, and that's how it's going to be. And that's what they were reminded every time, that there was no need to be concerned that the Catholic sisters from the north were going to start evangelizing or proselytizing. In fact, I think Myra did that by just living the gospel and showing them what it was to be a Christian. But when I arrived, there was no suspicion like this, because when I had to connect the duplex we lived in with the utilities, all I had to say was, Myra sent me. And that was, thank you for coming to welcome to Calhoun County. It was that simple. The other thing is, as an example for me, is when I started to do part of the parent meetings that happened every month, and it just kind of grew that we'd do this together, and I never knew how nervous she was, but she was absolutely scared to death of doing this parent meeting. And so she'd get it ready, and she'd fret all night and not sleep well for about 3 weeks, and then she'd get to do it, and she'd go, oh, thank you, God, this is awesome. And then she'd wake up the next morning and go, oh no, I gotta do another one of those meetings. She could not believe it. But the surprise is, I learned after she got here and retired, that she'd love to go to Carroll, Iowa, and do this Franciscan way of life. And she's dealing with a group. It's a whole new kind of context. They're supposed to be dealing with the Franciscan way of life. They're adults, and she had worked with children. And she drove 3 to 4 hours to get there every time she went every month. So I'm going, so why was this so much fun? I mean, she was never worried about it at all. And then I found out there was this added plus, because she could see her family every month and have a great time, having a good family reunion. So you can always be transformed even after you're retired. Keep growing.
I'm Sister Pat Clemen, and I lived in Mississippi. Myra would come many times to visit with me, or I would go to Calhoun and visit with her. And I can verify what Judy said. She was really petrified at having to present to the parents, so she was always asking me if I wouldn't do it. So I did a couple times do it, and she was just so grateful in all of her humility. But the other thing is she was always so very, very easygoing, low maintenance, whatever. So after she was diagnosed with the cancer, then I went to her and I said, now you really don't want to do anything more? She said, I have cancer. I don't need 3 more doctors to tell me I have cancer and I can't do anything. And I said, all right. And she said, besides that, I'm going to die before Christmas. I'm going to die on Christmas Day, and I'm going to be with my God. So after Christmas, I said, Myra, you're still here. And she said, I know. But the beauty of it is, in all her humility and in God's love, she went on Little Christmas. So what better time to go than on Christmas?
Sister Millie Luenberger. I was teaching at Waterloo, and our slips came out as to what our obedience was going to be. And I found out I was going to be teaching in Templeton. And all I knew from Sister Myra was it was a long ways from Dubuque. So when I got out of chapel, the first thing I did was find a map of Iowa to find out where I was going. And for 6 years, I enjoyed her hometown of Templeton with her family and with the people there.
Sister Camilla, my big words for Myra was, it's fun. Everything she did was always fun. And when she was in these last days, I said to her one day, thank you for everything that you've done for me and for all of us. She said, it was all fun. That was it. I also have a word here from Sister Zen Vu, who is one of the Vietnamese who now lives in Michigan. And she wrote this. I have known Sister Myra since I came to live with the Franciscan community. The image that I hold in my heart is that of a prayerful nun who could be found in the chapel between 7 and 8:30 every night. It was a time of quiet for her, and no matter when I visited chapel, I could find her there, deeply immersed in prayer. She's been a very generous person, which I witnessed many ways. I also connected her to my friend, Father Steve Va, studying at St. John's in Minnesota, whom she helped as well. On December the 16th, she asked that I deliver a check to him. She stated, this is Myra stating, "This is the last support that I will have." Her life was a testament to the gospel message of love, sacrifice, and generosity. Sister Myra lived her vocation with an extraordinary commitment to serve others, putting them above herself, even to her end. I will remember her deep faith, prayerfulness, and boundless generosity. Sister Myra, I will miss you and know you are always in my heart and in my prayers.
This is a meditation on a thread in honor of Myra. Existence is a mystical thread, weaving us together through time and space, grabbing us, attaching us to one another, to the universe, to God. Every thought, act, desire, prayer shivers the thread in this cosmic dance, changing the whole. The hand that tends an orchid sends waves of love and care along the thread, touching and moving, enriching, renewing, creating again. This mystical thread has no beginning or end, loss or gain, life or death, but union, communion with all that is, was, and will be, here and now, lasting forever. Myra is not gone, only changed.
I lived in the novitiate, I'm Dorothy Siewert. I lived in the novitiate with Myra, did not know her real well. I did get to know her better as she lived here at Mount St. Francis. I so appreciated the image of the basin and the towel in the opening song, and then the reading about the Jesus washing the feet of his disciples. And it brings to mind another scripture that I think applies to Myra, and that is the story of Philip bringing his friend Nathanael to Jesus, and Jesus saying, "Here is a man without guile." And I think that so fits Myra. She was a woman without guile, never seeking for herself, but giving so generously, not expecting a return, but just being joyful in the giving. I feel like we were privileged to have walked with her in this Franciscan life.
I'm Mary Claire O'Toole, and I have a message from Dorothy Kramer. Early in November, Myra sent me a beautiful greeting card with a message of love and care. Myra enclosed a check for my ministry with homeless people. Thermal shirts were purchased, and recipients beamed as they received their treasures. Myra's kindness, thoughtfulness, and generosity will be remembered for a long time.
I'm Sister Rita Green. This message is from Pat Vogel, who was a friend, and she's a Franciscan associate. I have many wonderful memories, but I'd like to share the kind person she was. She had a hearty and undeniable laugh, which sounded so frequently. She often used the words pure joy in expressing something she would see or experience that was out of the ordinary. Another favorite saying of hers was, "I often wonder." With her childlike openness, she had a way of being wide open to new ideas, new ways of looking at things, or just trying to understand those around her. Sister Myra always saw the glass as half full and looked on the bright side of everything. Many times I heard her say, "My favorite thing to do is just sit and do nothing," which I have to tell you, never happened. She was always doing something. Myra was a mentor and a very close friend. She couldn't wait to greet me when I came and was waving goodbye at the back door as I left. I will truly miss her in my life.
Caroline Birdie, this is from Dana Johnson, Immaculate Heart of Mary Catholic Church, Houston, Mississippi. Sister Myra was a beacon of faith, love, and service in our community of Vardanum, Calhoun City, and throughout Calhoun County, Mississippi. Her unwavering commitment to helping others, her compassionate heart, and her ability to bring people together through her ministry left an indelible mark on countless lives. Whether it's through her tireless work at Excel, her support of those most in need, or her ability to inspire faith and hope, Sister Myra's legacy is one of selfless giving. She will always be remembered as a guiding light whose presence enriched our community and whose spirit will remain alive in our hearts.
This is a message from Tracy Conif, a friend and member of the Calhoun City Excel Advisory Board. It was such a wonderful blessing to have Sister Myra in my life. She has helped so many people. She was a kind and inspirational person while fulfilling her destiny in the work of the Lord. Nothing shocked or surprised her. She always showed compassion. She had many stories that would make you laugh and sometimes cry. When we would say our goodbyes, she would always say, "Oh, I just love you." She was a friend. Her love for others was beyond compare. Earth lost a true woman of God. Heaven gained a very special angel that will always be in my heart. And another message from Lynn Dobbs, who is also a friend of Sister Myra's. She was one of the kindest people I have ever known, a true servant doing God's work. I feel blessed to have known her and called her a friend, praying for her family.
I'm Sister Janice Hoffman. These are a few memories from Donna Cole, who worked with Nancy Schreck to bring Excel program to Calhoun City. Sister Myra knew she would be happy in Calhoun City when she discovered Myra Avenue and made this comment, "I already have a street with my name." A favorite was sharing morning coffee with while cracking and eating walnuts with Hal the insurance man. Sister Myra regularly invited neighborhood kids in for card games after work. She attended the baby delivery of a young unwed woman, and after the birth, Sister Myra went to the nursery at the mother's request to hold the baby and tell him his mother loved him before he was given to Catholic Charities for adoption. On Sister Myra and Sister Judy's last visit to my home, we stood at the door with a big group hug. They sang St. Francis' blessing to me, a moment I will forever treasure. Rest in peace, my precious friend. I love you like a sister.
I'm Sister Lila Hellman, This message is from Robert Stewart, a volunteer at Excel in Calhoun City. Each day before the children began their school work, Sister Myra gathered them for a story or a reading containing a bit of instruction about life. I treasured the image of her sitting in a rocking chair, the children in a semicircle before her. She went one night to a young woman alone and near the giving birth in the house on a rural hillside. She accompanied the woman to the hospital 30 miles away and stayed through the night. She eagerly told of the moment the doctor placed the baby in her arms. Soon thereafter, he, the doctor, took her to breakfast. I worked with Myra in the sewing room for 8 years. It was always a delight to find her there because she always greeted me with a smile, and all of us will see the many, many aprons that she made for the sisters to wear at mealtime. And she delighted when she found the little gadget on her sewing machine where she could put on decorations. So enjoy the aprons that you see the sisters wearing around here because they'll go on for a long time.
This is it on? Okay. This is from Sunshine Stewart, Bardaman, Mississippi. Robert and I worked with Excel with Myra during summer workshops for children led by an artist friend, Dudley Davis. These were wonderful sessions with children free to create using an abundance of materials furnished by Dudley. And then we would gather with Sister Myra, Sister Judy Sinwell, and Dudley for food, fellowship, and discussion of something we read. Black bean soup was a favorite dish for Myra. Chocolate covered graham crackers. If there was fried chicken, Sister Myra left nothing but a pile of bones.
Carol Himson, from Liz Brown and Nancy Schreck. Myra spent many years in Calhoun City as an excellent teacher and student motivator. Last month we were in a T-Mobile store, and as soon as the technician noticed our Excel address, he responded eagerly that he had attended Excel in Calhoun City and remembered Myra with obvious delight. This is just one of many times this grateful remembering of Myra has happened when encountering people from Calhoun City. We're grateful for the opportunity to have shared life in Mississippi with her.
Anne-Marie Dunn. This is from Lorraine Fiser from Granville. Sister Myra was a gentle soul that I was privileged to work with at St. Mary's in Remsen, Iowa. We shared 5th grade, each having half the class. Sister Myra, Sister Nancy Conley, BBM, and I went to the NCEA convention in St. Louis together. We had a wonderful time at the Irish party put on by the world's finest chocolate in downtown St. Louis that year. We enjoyed teaching with her as we shared many interesting experiences, one of which was fighting lice all school year. We had many great times teaching together. Rest in peace, dear sister.
Ruth Shock. I lived with Myra in Arcadia. And one year, we were assigned a new pastor. Some of you may have known Monsignor Lafferty, highly intellectual person. he didn't know how to talk to the students at a student liturgy. And her 5th graders were becoming more and more incensed because he used these great big words and they didn't know what he was saying and they thought he was making fun of them. And she knew she needed to bridge this and bring some kind of reconciliation. So his birthday was coming. She challenged her students to go through an unabridged dictionary, find the biggest words they could find, and she gave them as many post-it notes as they wanted. And they would write the word on the front side and the definition on the back side. And then on the day of his birthday, she hooked these all together into a mass stole. And the class went over to the rectory, knocked on the door, and Monsignor Lafferty came out, and I'm sure he swallowed. And she explained that the students wanted to give him this mass stole. And he took it, and it was so precious. He took every single word. He looked at it. He used his decoding skills in front of the students out loud and demonstrated how he knew these big words. And there were a couple that he did not know. They were thrilled to see that he didn't know everything, amazed at his decoding skills. He learned to speak more simply, and the students were less judgmental.
Thank you for sharing your stories of Sister Myra's life. We will continue to share more memories in the days to come. And so we close in prayer. God of compassion, we come before you today as we remember Sister Myra. We stand in awe of life, which leads to death, which leads to life in you. Thank you for the many years that Myra spent living a Franciscan way of life by using her gifts as an educator in building up the body of Christ. Believing in your steadfast love, carry her onward and forward, and allow her to dwell in the fullness of your presence. We ask this with trust in you and in your Spirit, now and forever. Amen. We will close with hymn number 668, verses 3, 4, and 5. Number 668, verses 3, 4, and 5.